Thanks a lot, Sabnis ji. I'm really thankful to you for giving me this topic. Actually, increasing vagal tone. What that was your main theme, and I was wanting to understand this whole process after Aditi had given a very nice demonstration of Yog Nidra, and I said, well, Yog Nidra and Yogasan and Pranayam and Dhyan, all these things can be clubbed together in this talk. And increasing vagal tone, what exactly do we mean by increasing vagal tone? I mean, it's a very loose term used these days uh, without much understanding what vagal tone means actually. Simply put, I would say that it means allowing the brain to do its job well. And that is simple. As simple as I can get is to allow the brain to do the job well. We are obstructing the brain, this part of the brain, this whole thing, to do the job well because we do not know how to let it work on its own. So let me, because this is a very scientific topic actually. Vagus, when the moment you talk about tone and vagus nerve and vagus system, it brings in science, and it has to be dealt that way. You cannot dilute science in this, although I have already diluted it by saying that it just is um, the way. How do you let your brain work by itself? Anyway, we'll just demonstrate just a little bit because everybody has this nervous system, but we do not know what it is. So let me outline just very briefly, and there will be a few slides which are complicated, but I will make it very simple for you. Okay. So nervous system is composed of our brain and the spinal cord, right? That's what it is. So the brain consists of brain is all about central nervous system, and the spinal cord controls the peripheral comprises of the peripheral nervous system. And out of that, there are two systems. Now, sensory system and motor system. What does sensory system mean? Any, let's say you get a fire burn here, or a pinprick here, right, on your hand. Now what happens to that pinprick? It communicates to your, it sends a message via nerves into your spinal cord, and from the spinal cord there is another nerve which comes to the muscles, and tells us to remove the hand from the burning area or the pinprick or whatever that is, right? So the motor system is that those system of nerves which communicate to the muscles, and sensory system on the other hand is those set of nerves which communicate to the spinal cord. So that circuit has to be completed. So this system is called peripheral nervous system. And out of that, motor system means that which communicates from the spinal cord to the muscles, are comprising of autonomic and somatic. Okay. Now somatic is that which is voluntary, which means I can make sure, let's say I want to remove my hand by will, at will, I can command my muscles to retract like that. So that is a somatic motor system. Autonomic motor system, on the other hand, is involuntary. Somatic is voluntary and autonomic is involuntary. Involuntary means it is not in my command. Thank goodness it is not in my command, because what happens is this system makes sure that our heart is working good, our lungs are fine, our intestines are doing the right digestion, our kidney is at work, the entire immune system is working strong. All good things that makes our body live well is under the command of autonomic nervous system. Now, out of that, it is made out of three different subtypes. Sympathetic is, for, as I have earlier also mentioned to you, sympathetic means that which is makes us fight or flight, like it is life preservative process. If there is a snake, if there is a danger, it gives us the immense energy, instant energy, and it makes blood pump and do all the good things and makes us run and all that. And sometimes we wonder, how did we do that? So that was basically because of the sympathetic nervous system. But that is really stressful. Actually, this is in response to life threatening stress. This particular sympathetic nervous system starts to work. But if it is working too much over on the overdrive, it will be disaster. So it is just good to preserve life, but not to prolong life. So if you are constantly under stress, keeps your if this system is constantly working, then it is not good. Whereas parasympathetic nervous system has a portion in the brain, so it has a correlation with the central nervous system here. Okay, so it has a correlation with the brain and other things. So I'll share some other slides also. Now this is I try to draw my own this thing. So I'll just briefly mention with you. Last time on the in the first slide, first talk on meditation and other things that I had mentioned, I had talked about these. This is the brain, and these are the different. This is the midbrain here. This is the pons. This is medulla oblongata, and this is spinal cord. All the way, this is a big spinal cord here. Okay. Now, this portion, the dotted portion, the purple dotted portion is basically the Agnya Chakra. Okay, the Agnya Chakra is this one, controlling all the good stuff. This is the place where your third eye, when you focus on the third eye and all that, this is the region that gets activated. Vishuddhi Chakra is at the cusp, actually, it is at the throat level. So this portion is actually overlapping with just a little bit in the Agya Chakra domain, I would say. From the from this area, there are couple of nerve centers, cranial nerves that are basically coming out of that. Cranial nerve 3, cranial nerve 7, cranial nerve 9 and 10. And 10 is the real vagus nerve. That is what the topic of discussion is, this portion. This is what, how do we get this thing activated? So, because that's the only closest to Vishuddhi Chakra. Closest to Vishuddhi Chakra is the cranial nerve center, right? That's the only consciously by yogasan or pranayam or whatever we can reach this. We cannot actually reach this consciously by yogasan or pranayam. Actually, it is indirectly we activate these other nerves, cranial nerves. But the closest to activation is the cranial nerve or 10, which is the vagus nerve actually. And this is the major nerve, cranial nerve in our body, the biggest cranial nerve. It starts from this spinal cord, the medulla oblongata, at the very cusp of medulla oblongata and spinal cord. This is where it is situated, and it sends out nerves pretty much all over the body, and that's why it is so powerful and important. Now, this whole process, this entire system comprises of parasympathetic nervous system, and it also has the Swadhisthana chakra, which also contribute to parasympathetic nervous system. Whereas just the sympathetic nervous system, the flight and the fight and the stress responders, is this area, the green area with this portion. Um, Only this portion comprises of sympathetic nervous system. So without the help of the brain, you can survive. But if you would like to have a quality of life, then parasympathetic nervous system has to be activated, and the closest to activating is vagus nerve. Okay, so this is pretty much simplified, right? Now I draw another rough diagram here. This is the eye here, and this is your ear, and this is your the vestibular apparatus, and this is your eustachian tube. This is your nose here, and this is your tongue, right? And this is your the soft palate, at the roof of the of your mouth cavity, and this is your pharynx, this is your esophagus, this is like windpipe, right? And this is your esophagus, where the food goes inside the stomach. Of course, this is the heart. I mean, this is not drawn to scale, but this is just to let you know that the vagus nerve has so many components, which all the way from the jugular foramen over here, the jugular foramen is just right here, just below the ear, the soft part of the ear, that hole that you see here, just if you draw a line right there, that's where it's at. Okay, so it all these nerves from vagus nerves. Vagus nerve have 3 4 nuclei in the oblongata, medulla oblongata, which sends these nerve fibers all over, everywhere, including the soft palate and the tongue and the epiglottis. Everywhere it sends this thing. So when you are doing anything related to neck, anything, if you have attended Sriji's class in the morning, uh, he has couple of exercises he talks about, especially the throat lock, and all the yogasan which does, like halasan for instance, does the throat constriction or throat exercises, those are the real exercises which are key to activation of the vagus nerve. Plus, of course, there is another one which is one very powerful, simply goes straight from the ear lobe here. It is sitting in the ear lobe. If you take your index finger and thumb and hold this ear lobe just above like this, so that's where it's at. So when you do Brahmari, that particular this particular nerve get pressed and that get activated. You see that? So let's say this is the one which I was talking to you about. This part is the closest we can reach physically to a branch of vagus nerve right here. So that's why when you do the Brahmari, that is one of the very fascinating way of triggering the cranial nerve, the 10th cranial nerve, which is the vagus. Pranayams that increase the vagal tone. Now you would like to know what all pranayams are necessary. Basically, all these pranayams Sriji has demonstrated very beautifully in the morning classes. Brastika pranayam, like when you do this, right, forceful exhalation, inhalation and exhalation, that is fantastic. Now, Kapalbhati is another pranayam which you use just to exhale, like this exhalation, forced exhalation. This is what causes. Why this causes? Remember the structure that I showed you. The when you do the forced exhalation, what happens is those nerves that are lining the trachea, the windpipe here, the nerves that are coming from the one of the branches of vagus nerve is also innervating this windpipe, right? So Kapalbhati can, forced exhalation can activate that. Now, Ujjayi pranayam is one of the most potent of all the pranayam in activating the throat area. Now, what happens is, you first of all you take inhalation and exhale completely by mouth, like completely, right? As if you are going to fog a mirror just in front of you. That kind of a breathing you do, exhalation. Then what you do is constrict your throat like this, and then you breathe it through the nose, and it should basically make some kind of a constricted noise sound that comes out. That kind of a noise should come. So which means that that portion of the throat area and the soft palate and the adjoining area gets activated because of Ujjayi pranayam. So Anulom Vilom in another is alternate nostril breathing, which mostly everybody has done, but the most powerful is Ujjayi and Kapalbhati. Bhramri is the closest you can activate the nerve by even by pressing it. Even if you just don't do Bhramri, if you just press the nerve, the ears, you just pull this thing like this, okay, like that. If you just pull it, it will get activated. And Udgit, of course, is Om, extended Om, which Sriji always demonstrates in his pranayam session. So these are the pranayams which increase vagal tone right away. Now, what is the vagal tone? What does it mean actually? What? Okay, increasing vagal tone. So what? Big deal. Now, every, all the nerves that are coming from vagus nerves, from the medulla oblongata, is coming outside. It is not going inside, right? It is coming outside. So, which means it is mostly motor in its nature. No, which means to say that it is innervating most of the muscles and the major organs in our body. Uh, Heart, in intestines, every possible uh, vital organs it is innervating. So it sets the tone to make it work properly. That's the beauty of vagus nerve. Suppose by for some reason your heartbeat has increased because of sympathetic nervous activation. What happens is this parasympathetic, because vagus nerve belong to the parasympathetic pathway, it will basically slow down your heartbeat again. It will slow down respiration that has gone up because of sympathetic activity. So that's the beauty of this system. So once you are slowed down, then your thinking will be possible. As you must have seen that if your heartbeat or your respiration or the breathing is very high, then your thinking is not steady. It has some kind of a unsteadiness in the thinking process, or your mind is extremely turbulent. You cannot sit still and do dhyan in that case. That's why these are prerequisite for getting into dhyan, right? If you read the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, he talks about that these are prerequisite for dhyan. Most people have this situation that when they sit for dhyan, they say, I cannot sit properly because my mind keeps running. Yeah, if you do these things, your mind will sit still. Because why will it sit still? That because of this, your vagus system has got activated, which means your vagal tone is in shape now. Okay. Now some yogasanas to increase vagal tone. Now there are another. This is basically the pranayam aspect, and then you do the yogasana. Always do yogasana after pranayam. That is something which is I have seen it helps a lot. Now one of the most powerful pranayam that you can see is if you can stay in this position for, let's say, 2 minutes, and constrict this particular position, constrict your throat anyway beautifully. So once this throat is constricted and you continue breathing in and out, in and out, in and out, that will get your, what happens is, this part of your sacral, which means the Swadhisthana chakra, and your Vishuddhi chakra, both are getting activated at the same time, which means both the components of the parasympathetic nervous system pathway is getting triggered by this one single yogasana. Another one, this one, both. See, in this one you have pushed it up, the Swadhisthana chakra, you have pushed it up, and you have constricted your Vishuddhi chakra here. But in this case, what you have done is you have not pushed it back. The Swadhisthana chakra is pressed now, and this is pressed. Swadhisthana chakra is pressed as well as the Vishuddhi chakra is pressed. Halasana is one of the most powerful yoga posture to stimulate vagal tone, because what it does is activates two major portion that constitute the parasympathetic nervous system, the Vishuddhi chakra as well as the Swadhisthana chakra. This another one is Shashangasana. You just constricted here for this portion, and you have touched your chin to your chest over here, and relax. You can see the relaxed position here. You can stay here and maybe uh, do deep breathing. Whatever is possible in that position. It is not very simple easy, it is not very easy to do deep breathing in this position. So but whatever is possible, do just that much. Let's say 5 or 6 deep breathing is good enough. So this will activate it. Another one is cat pose, cat cow. This is actually when you exhale, you are touching your chin to your chest, and when you are inhaling, you are going up all the way like that. And so that what happens is this portion and the neck portion both are getting activated in this, the Swadhisthana as well as Vishuddhi chakra. Whenever Swadhisthana and Vishuddhi chakras are activated, it is only helping you maintain the vagal tone. So remember that. That is the most important thing. Now, Yog Nidra is another. Now, if suppose somebody, nobody can do anything. I have a bad spine, I have a bad headache, I have a bad this, whatever. For some reason, they are not able to do yogasana. And of course, if they happen to have high blood pressure or hypertension situation, I would strongly recommend them, don't even come close to doing pranayam. Just don't do it. Please don't do any of the pranayam that I have talked, that we have mentioned just earlier. Just don't do it, because that will aggravate it. It will be a disaster. So for them, this is another third process, Yog Nidra. And that's why, Aditi, you will be major help in lot of people who have had situation. I mean, for some reason they have situation. What can you do? I mean, you cannot do it much. They have happened. They might have inherited hypertension, or they might have a bad genetics, or whatever that might have been. Because of that, they are not able to do all these things. So for them, Aditi, you can come to rescue, and you can help people learn Yog Nidra. Beautiful. The simplest and the most non-aggressive method to increase vagal tone. How does it do that? Now, whenever we start Yog Nidra is a actually, it's a meditation. Actually, it is not nidra. Most people think it is, oh, I am going to be, I am getting good nidra, I can go to sleep. No, that's not. Yog Nidra is a meditation. Instead of sitting still, like sitting straight with your spine erect, what you're doing is you're having all the chakras laid down on the ground. You're flat. You are sleeping. You're in a supine position, straight. So every time, whenever you do anything of that intense magnitude, unbelievable magnitude, you start with the prayer from Brihadaranya Upanishad, which says Asato ma sadgamaya, Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, Mrityor ma amritangamaya. This is, so what it means to say is, lead me from the unreal to the real. Lead me from the darkness to light. Lead me from time bound consciousness, death, to the timeless state of being, immortality that I am. This is beautiful. What a prayer. Now, this is why this prayer is important, because we are stuck in the unreal. We are stuck in the darkness, and we are stuck in the time bound consciousness. We are identified with our body, which is time bound, right? Our fallacy of our living, the very living is so fallacious. That's why it starts with the prayer. And this understanding has to dawn on us, that the Yog Nidra, what we are essentially doing Yog Nidra, is to go back to our own true nature, right? Which is real, which is timeless consciousness, immortality. Now, this particular Yog Nidra, this particular 6 tools of Yog Nidra, which will take me 6 sessions actually, because this contains the essence of Upanishads. So I have, maybe some other time I will talk about this in detail. Everything, every topic, Yog Nidra slash dash realization, Yog Nidra dash integration, this identification and intention, relaxation and restoration. These are the 6 tools in the Yoga Nidra that we use. So Aditi, you will gain a lot in the due course of time. Today I will not dwell too much on it. The realization. What is this realization? This one, that I am stuck in unreal. This realization has to be happening first in order for your Yoga Nidra to really take effect. Yoga Nidra is not, your Nidra word is a misnomer, so don't go with this. It is it is in it is a conscious deep sleep. So it is most of the time we experience deep sleep when we are deeply sleeping. Actually we don't experience deep sleep. We have deep sleep, but we cannot experience it. But in this particular protocol, you can experience deep sleep live, and I will show you some tremendously fantastic data that you will get fired up about. First is in realization, then integration. Integration means the body, mind, and our thinking, the intellect, mind, body, and intellect integration is necessary. What is happening is our body wants something, our mind wants something else, and our action is totally different. So these that integration has to happen first in order to make Yoga Nidra very effective, such that it can create a good vagal tone. Disidentification. Now, what is disidentification? I'm just briefly touching. We are identified with this body, which is basically we have this body, but we say we are the body. This is identification. When we get identified with our body, we say we are body. But the fact is, we have a body. This particular switch happens in Yoga Nidra. Then we have this intention. Now what is happening is this intention is, remember that I had discussed long time ago, the concept of um reticular activating system. This reticular activating system is the one which senses the intention that is conducive to realization, integration, and disidentification. This particular intention is necessary for us to implant in our consciously implant this intention and get the reticular activating system know what is important to us, right? So that it will create a situation, it will go out in the infinite into the universe and get everything possible to make such an intention happen for us. And then you do the relaxation and restoration. So these are the 6 steps which I will talk in depth later on. Now, Yoga Nidra, Aditi, you have discussed yoga. You have talked about the meditation aspect or the dhyan aspect in your lying down supine position. But if you could add, in addition to that, that consciously focus your attention on different chakras, that will get high mileage out of it, out of Yoga Nidra. It's just unbelievable. In addition to what you have done, if you just add this much to consciously pay attention on Mooladhara chakra. Now please pay your attention on Mooladhara. Then you go ahead and say Swadhisthana. Then you go ahead and say Manipura. Then you go ahead and say Anhat. Then you go ahead and say Vishuddhi. Then you go ahead and say Agnya Chakra. Then you say Sahasra Chakra and back again. So what happens is when you're going up, go have a say that it is going from your down, and when you're going back down here, go from the anterior part, like top part of your body. So this way a circle will be created like this. So when you say okay, please pay attention on the Mooladhara chakra, then come to the back of your Swadhisthana chakra, then come to the back of your Manipura chakra, then come to the back of your Anhat chakra, then come to the back of your uh, Vishuddhi Chakra. Then come to the back of your Agya Chakra. Then come back. Then come to focus on the front part of your Agya Chakra. Then front part of your Vishuddhi Chakra. Front part of your Agya Chakra, Anhat Chakra. Front part of your Manipura Chakra. Front part of your uh, Swadhisthana Chakra. And then, so this way what happens is a whole lot of, this is the Kriya Yoga actually. This is the Kriya Yoga protocol for Yog Nidra. Okay, Kriya Yoga protocol for Yog Nidra is, I'm going to show some data now. Now I'll show you little later. Now Yog Nidra is the most underappreciated practice of yoga because people think about yoga as meditation and other things, or uh, pranayam and exercises and all that. But this they have very little appreciation for. This Yog Nidra is an art and practice of doing nothing actually. So most of the people here, I have, including me, I used to do that. I said, what do we do? What do we do to do nothing? I said, nothing. So that is the challenge here. So when you, what do we have to do nothing? Nothing actually. It's like floating. Floating is not something you do, right? It's something that happens. So that is exactly what this is. This is actually for people like type A personality and go getters and go get the job done yesterday. Those are the people who cannot appreciate your nidra because they say, "What the heck is that? What do I have to do? Nothing." That's what it is. You have to let go, and that letting go is what gets strengthened in Yoga Nidra, and that is what causes the vagal tone activation. Actually, doing nothing is the real deal. Actually, in activating the vagus nerve. Now, this is the process. This is one of the studies done in Denmark, state hospital, state university hospital, and these investigators, Dr. Hans Lu and Troll Kaher, is from Kennedy Institute in Copenhagen, published this data. What they have done is they have done the PET scan, the MRI scan, all that good stuff. So what happens was, under the guidance of Swami Janakananda. Swami Janakanand is a Kriya Yogi and a Guru Bhai of my Guru, Paramahansa Atmanand Giri. So they have learned from the same teacher. These two people have learned from the same teacher, and he went to Denmark and he established an ashram there. Of course, good Paramahansa Yoganandji also always Atmanandji also keeps going to the same place every time whenever he goes to Europe, and they have studied. They first published work in the human brain mapping, and the second published work was in cognitive brain research on Yog Nidra. And this is the data that I have accessed from their publication. Now, this is the PET scan, positron emission tomography scan. Now, this is your front part, and this is your back part, right? This is your back part here, over here, and this is your frontal lobe. So this illustrates this is at rest, right? It illustrates the state closest to normal waking consciousness. The person is sitting nicely, sitting just like that, like the way you and I are doing right now. So this our area, the frontal lobe is getting activated. Some visual cortex is getting activated. Some, pretty much all the brain is activated. Now during Yoga Nidra, what happened? The frontal lobe completely silenced. The visual center gets activated, and somatosensory portion. Oh my goodness, somatosensory portion is the one which, what happens in Yoga Nidra. The way I was taught by my Guruji is, you have to consciously listen to the furthest sound that you can possibly hear, furthest, as far as you can, and then you can go ahead and listen to the most closest sound that you can possibly get. Closest sound is your heartbeat, or the breathing, or even the blood running in your head and all that stuff. So that those two ends, so that actually makes your sensory system so sharp that you can even listen to an ant crawling there. It is that intense, absolutely high awareness that gets created because of that. And no wonder the sensory cortex, somatosensory cortex senses that aspect from all the five senses. It gathers all the information at this point. Okay. And the limbic system, you can see this limbic system is also getting activated. Now, at the end of the Yog Nidra Dhyan, right? At the time when you are like at around 44-45 minutes time, that is the time when you feel like euphoric, almost euphoria happens. You cannot even comprehend what you are feeling, bodiless, and you just floating almost. That feeling of happiness is at the point of, and the best part of it is the speech and language center activity. Everything is shut. Why is speech and language center activated? Because you want to talk. You want to speak something because you're feeling so great that time you have no idea. But you're, that's why you must have seen that those people who have realized, like Swami Ramakrishna Paramahansa, or your Paramahansa Yogananda, or all these Guru Nanak and Kabir and all that. And why did they after the deep dhyan, why did they go ahead and talk about, why did Buddha go and talk, mm, giving talks all over the world? Why? Because of that. The speech and language center gets activated because of the perfect feel. Now they cannot help but speak. If they don't speak, they will die. They will like almost like suffocate because they have to share this now. The idea of sharing comes so, and immense compassion. Out of immense compassion, the idea of speech and language comes. The idea to share this comes. And of course, this is one of the scans. Another scan there in another subject was like this. It was the visual and tactile center was getting activated. Now, at this time, which means that you can have a tremendous visualization. Visualization is becoming real to you now. It is as good as seeing it in front of you. Because the brain is seeing it. Even if your eyes are closed, the brain can see it. That kind of a this thing. Now, what does Yog Nidra do actually? Yog Nidra does something. It increases dopamine production, 65%, and this is average. I'll tell you, and this is experienced because they have listened to this Swami Janakananda CD on Yog Nidra, and this has happened. After this experiment and these two papers, people all over the world have started using this in PTSD. Uh, because in Walter Reed Army Medical Center, they started using this um, for PTSD. People coming from Iraq or wherever they come, they had they were like for decades they were busted almost. They had no idea what to do. They were in panic state. So war veterans were asked to go and do this Yog Nidra, and they were back to normal. The feeling of anxiety, rage, emotional, everything's disappeared, and they are back to where should have been. Another place where this whole thing has been working miracles is the women suffering from sexual assault, and they all their life they go with this negative thought of self blame, depression, and body tension, right? They experience improvement in sleep because the sleep pattern get disturbed. They are disturbed, that's all. But Yog Nidra has got them back to the normal situation. And work related stress, especially in investment banking and all that, those people are the ones which have uh, done Yog Nidra. This study is coming from their thing, and they experience back to normal state because their work pressure is so intense, like deadline after deadline after deadline. So that stress gets built up. And what happens when the stress gets built up? The sympathetic nervous system gets activated. So they did this particular thing and they were so happy about it. Osteoarthritic back pain, which is like this is a chronic pain. This is neuropathic. This has gone to neuropathic pain. It pains. So those people who were on opioids, drugs, basically to ease their pain. Once they started doing this, they were back to normal. This is powerful. Anybody who you know suffering from such kind of a situation, please reach out and help them out. Insomnia fighter. I have never seen anybody who has had. I have. There are a couple of people I have personally met who have had not slept for 2 years, 3 years, not slept at all. I mean, they said just say I just go and sleep for 15 minutes and again I wake up and I nothing. I don't know how to go. And I almost actually shared them this whole idea about how to go ahead. In fact, I had made a CD and given it to them, and they are perfectly happy now. And PMS mood balancer. This is another very challenging situation where because estrogen hormones are up and down and they control the mood and all that stuff. So how to get them to balancing situation because that causes anxiety, depression, migraine headaches. It is unbelievable. There are a whole lot of women who suffer from migraine headaches. I think they will get help a lot. Tinnitus. This is like constant sound which interferes in your sleep, which interferes. You cannot just think straight. So people have uh, benefited from this. Worry, cardiovascular disease, and of course, you have no idea. This blood they have reduced blood sugar in type 2 diabetic patient. This is like I said, my goodness. This means that our stress causes uh, uh, pancreatic dysfunction. So if you get rid of that, and now the beauty is you don't do anything. You are not doing yogasan, you are not doing pranayama, doing nothing, and still you are getting the same benefit as doing pranayama and yogasan. Huge potential in preventing neurodegenerative disorders, particularly Parkinson and psychiatric disorders such as depression. I am told because there are some data, of course, it has to come out in public now, that post COVID there is another huge pandemic which is basically depression. Depression pandemic and suicidal pandemic is on the rise. In Japan, as of today, there have been more deaths post COVID. I mean, after the COVID has happened, than the people who have died of COVID because of whatever the situation. People have committed suicide not because they were having the COVID too, but because of the constraint that were pushed upon them economically and or socially. So this is the very 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 important. Yog Nidra is unbelievably important for the time for the current times right now. Now, why do I say that? Is because serotonin, the feel good neurotransmitter, and dopamine, which is the euphoria generating neurotransmitter in our brain, is very much interlinked. Dopamine and serotonin crosstalk within dopaminergic and serotonergic system is right here. You can see this. This is your dopamine neurons that are sending out their fibers all over into the striatum from this is substantia nigra and all over the cortex everything, and so is here. So if you have less serotonin, you will automatically have less dopamine, or if you have less dopamine you will have say, less serotonin. So they complement each other. One is down, another is down. The one is up, another is up. So that is very very important for us to appreciate the fact that increasing dopamine level and hence serotonin level is extremely important for our well-being, and that can only happen because we have done justice to the vagus nerve and improving the vagal tone. Thank you so much, and any questions that will be appreciated.